So today's topic is significance test of parameters, which is one of the process being used in under the statistical inference, which itself is the part of inferential statistics. Statistical inference is the process of analyzing the result and making conclusion from data subject to random variation. It is a method of making decisions about the parameters of a population based on random sampling. The purpose here is to estimate the uncertainty or sample to sample variation. So it allows to provide a probable range of values for the true values of something in the population. Let us see ahead in detail to start with the topic. So to start the introduction part, let us understand what statistical inference is. It is a process using data analysis to infer properties of an underlying distribution of probability. This analysis infers property of a population, for example, by testing hypotheses and deriving estimates out of them. It is assumed that the observed data set is sampled from a larger population. Now there are certain types that are enlisted below that you can see that are being used under this statistical inference as a method of statistical inference. Further here there is a list. Among these, test of significance, which is the topic for today, and confidence intervals are one of the two most common types of statistical inference. Researchers use a confidence interval when their goal is to estimate a population parameter, whereas in the second type, which is the test of significance, it has a bit different goal because it assesses the evidence provided by that data about certain claim that concerns that population. Further, this test of significance, it's a kind of a formal procedure for comparing the observed data with certain claim, also known as hypothesis, the truth of which is being assessed. So the claim here is the statement of about a parameter, like maybe that parameter can be population proportion represented by small p here, or the population mean represented by mu, etc. So the result of a significance test are expressed in terms of a probability that measures how well the data and claim agree to each other. Now why is this being used? So the purpose here is to see or check whether there is a significant difference between the number or the parameters of a population based on random sampling. And for that purpose, a statistical test must be conducted so as to provide the evidence, because researchers cannot rely on subjective interpretations. So researchers must collect statistical evidence to make certain claim, and this is done by conducting a test of statistical significance. So this is the purpose. Now what are the steps involved? So the first and foremost step here for conducting a test of statistical significance is to state the hypothesis, which in literal terms means a working statement. A significance test starts with a careful statement of claims being compared, the claim tested by a statistical test, which is called null hypothesis, or H0 as represented here, you can see. Now what is this null hypothesis? It is a type of hypothesis which is used in statistics that proposes that there is no difference between certain characteristic of a population or data generating process. The test is designed to assess the strength of evidence against this null hypothesis. Often the null hypothesis is statement of, that is why it is known as statement of no difference and is being represented by H0. The significance of 0 here is to show that there is no difference. Now the claim about the population that evidence is being sought for is the alternative hypothesis, which is just an alternative to the null hypothesis. Now this alternative is one-sided if it states that a parameter is larger or maybe smaller than the null hypothesis value, and it is two-sided if it states that the parameter is different from null value. It can either be smaller or larger. So there are two types of alternative here, or the alternative hypothesis. Further, as a general observation, while using logical reasoning, it is really easier or much easier to demonstrate that a statement is false than to demonstrate that it is true. Why? Because proving something false only requires one counter example. Only one counter example can be sufficient. But proving something true requires a statement is true in every possible situation. So that statement needs to be tested in every possible situation in case if it is needed to be proved true. For this reason, when conducting a test of significance, a null hypothesis is used. So the term null here is used because this hypothesis assumes that there is no difference, as we already discussed, difference between the two means, or that the recorded difference is not significant. Even if there is a difference, it is not significant. The notation that is typically used for, I guess we have already discussed this, the opposite of a null hypothesis is called alternative hypothesis, and the A has been taken from that alternative only, and that is what is being represented by HA, where A is in the subscript position. This alternative hypothesis is the claim that researchers are actually trying to prove is true. However, they prove it is true by proving that the null hypothesis is false. Okay, so you got the statement that whatever they are trying to prove is true, but that is being proved by proving the null hypothesis false. So if the null hypothesis is false, then its opposite, the alternative hypothesis, must be true. Further, now here we have an example where a distribution of IQ scores has been shown here with the help of a normal distribution curve with a population mean is 100. So now here the purpose is to check that is the sample mean significantly different than the population mean. The sample that has been taken out, has there is any difference between the mean values of the two from the the sample mean of the sample mean from the population mean. So example here states that as per our we'll be taking the we'll start with assuming our null hypothesis H0 that states that IQ sample mean is also equal to 100, or IQ sample mean minus 100, which is the value of the population mean, has to be 0. So as per the H0, the sample mean IQ is not significantly different than 100, which is the population mean. So definitely here the alternative hypothesis states, if it is one-sided alternative hypothesis, it will either say that IQ sample mean is greater than 100, or IQ sample mean is minus 100 is more than 0. In other words, one-sided alternative hypothesis says that the sample mean IQ is significantly larger than 100. If it is two-sided alternative hypothesis, it will say that it is either less than 100 or more larger than 100, taking both the sides here. So this is what is being shown here. Now there's a bit explanation to this. Here, as we have already discussed, the sample mean is equal to 100, or there's no difference between the sample or the population and the population mean. The sample mean will not be exactly equal to the population mean. This null hypothesis is stating that the recorded difference is not significant. So if researcher can demonstrate that this null hypothesis is false, then its opposite, that is the alternative hypothesis, must be true. In this example that we just saw, the alternative hypothesis states that the sample mean is significantly different than 100, and there is a significant difference between the sample mean and the population means. So if researchers are trying to prove that the mean IQ in the sample will specifically be higher or lower, or maybe just one direction than the population mean, this is one-sided. If they are considering one side, maybe it's higher, or if they are considering another side, taking only one side into consideration, it will be known as one-sided alternative hypothesis that we have already understood, because it's like looking at only one direction in which mean way may vary. In the case of one-sided alternative hypothesis, they're not interested in the other direction, obviously. If researchers suspect that the sample mean could either be lower or higher than 100, then the alternative hypothesis would be two-sided, because here both directions will be considered and tested. When conducting a significance test, the goal is to provide evidence to reject the null hypothesis. If the evidence is strong enough to reject a null hypothesis, then only alternative hypothesis will automatically be accepted. However, if the evidence is not strong, obviously researchers fail to reject the null hypothesis and it will be accepted. Now here there are certain values being given, certain parameters are given here, like the population mean, already we know it's 100. Population standard deviation comes out to be 16. Sample mean is 108 and sample size is 16. Suppose we have taken a small sample of 16 people only. Excuse me. So here the value of Z needs to be taken out. So you can see it's been represented here, where the population mean is being shown by the central line of this normal distribution. Sample mean is here. So the value of Z will be calculated using this formula here, where in the numerator the difference of sample mean and the population mean is been taken, and in the denominator there is this standard deviation which is further being divided by the sample size, and which is in under root value. Putting all the values here, Z comes out to be 2, which is being represented here as by this blue arrow. You can see this is showing the sample mean, the value is 2. Now what this means? Like we have already seen that the mean IQ score for the sample is 108, which is slightly higher than the population mean, which is 100. So the sample mean is obviously different from the population mean, but test of significance must be done to determine if difference is statistically significant or not. The difference could be possibly attributable to chance or maybe to some sampling error. So the first step to compute the test statistic, what is this test statistic? It is nothing else but the Z score that we already just saw for the sample mean. The only difference is that the population standard deviation is divided by the square root of n. N is the sample size, just like when a confidence interval is computed. So to compute this test statistic, the population standard deviation must be known for the variable, which is here, the value here is 16. To compute this test statistic, the sample size must also be known. In this case, it is 16. In a real research scenario, however, the sample size would be larger. We have taken this to make the calculation look simpler and easy to understand. Now, after putting the needed information, as we have seen that the Z score comes out to be 2. This means that the sample mean is exactly 2 standard deviations above the population mean. So this is the inference that we are drawing here. Now the next step is to compute the p-value. Once we have computed the test statistics, the next step is to find out the probability of obtaining this score when the null hypothesis is true. We are assuming here that the null hypothesis is true. The normal curve that we have seen equally divided between the two parts, between the two halves that we have just seen, it helps researchers determine the percentage of individuals in the population who are located within certain intervals or above or below a certain score. So that is why the normal curve is used. Now to find this information, the score needs to be standardized. In case of this example, this was already done by computing the value of Z, which is the test statistic. So the normal distribution can be used to compute the probability of obtaining a Z score. Now see here what happens here. Now here we are assuming that our null hypothesis is true. So now the area to the left of Z, this is Z value, if this is the z value, now the area to the left of z shows the probability of obtaining scores lower than z, whereas the area to the right of z, which is also known as the p value that we are just calculating, is showing the probability of obtaining scores higher than z. So the thing is that smaller this p value would be, stronger would be the evidence against our null hypothesis that is being provided by the data. So when testing hypotheses, researchers are generally interested in the area to the right of z, which is the p value. Now we know that. Why? Because this p value represents the probability of obtaining scores that are at z level or higher when the null hypothesis is true. Or we can say what percentage chance is existing of getting this specific sample mean score if it is actually, if there is actually no difference from the population mean. So that is why there is a keen observation of this value and there is much interest in this value. If z, if this, the value of z is far away from the mean, p would be small. So the larger the test statistic or the value of z or farther from the mean, the smaller would be the value, the smaller would be the p value. When the p value is very small, researchers can say that they have strong evidence that the null hypothesis is false. This is because if the p value is very small, it means that the probability of obtaining a score that is so extreme or even higher is very small. So the next step is finding this p value. Generally, some statistical textbooks provides a table listing the area to the left curve or to the left of the curve for every possible z score. In our presentation, here are some data. There is a table where the row of this table would show the first 2 digits of z score and the column of this table would represent the last 2 digits of z score. So you can see the area to the left of z value is comes out to be 0.9772, because this whole area is assumed to be, under the curve is assumed to be 1. So when we deduct this value of which is being done here, see, if the we know that the value of z is 2 that we have already calculated. So the area to the left of this z comes out to be 0.9772. Now this much is left, that this 0.9772 that you can see in this table is being given here. So now what is left? How we can calculate the value of p? 1 minus this value, which is 1 minus 0.9772, that comes out to be 0.0228. So this shows that if the population mean IQ is equal to 100, there is a 2% probability of recording a sample mean of 108 that we have assumed earlier. This is being represented by the blue color here. The value is 0.0228 and here the value to the left of z is 0.9772. Further, as we know, z score is, in this example, is exactly 2, so all decimals are 0. The area to the left is 0.9772. However, for hypothesis testing, the area to the right, which is p value, to the right of z is needed. Since entire, as we have already discussed, the entire area under the curve is equal to 1, so we'll do some subtraction here to get the value of that right part of area, which comes out to be 0.0228. So there is only 2% chance that null hypothesis is true. Or we can say, in other words, if the population mean is 100, then only 2% chances are there that the sample mean would be equal to 108. Now, it is also important to know how small the p value to be it's needed or can be accepted in order to reject the null hypothesis. Now how this is done? There is a parameter known as alpha, which is being used for this purpose. So alpha minus significance level, or the probability of rejecting the null hypothesis when null hypothesis is true. So here we need to see that the p-value that just came out is how much smaller than this alpha. So if this p-value is greater than the value of alpha, then in that case we can accept the null hypothesis. But if this p-value comes out to be even less than the value of alpha, then in that case we need to reject the null hypothesis and obviously accept the alternative hypothesis. This p is called the cutoff value for p. This alpha is the cutoff value for p, or is known as the significance level. Now here researcher establishes the value of alpha. That is why prior to the beginning of statistical analysis itself, generally in social sciences, alpha is typically set at 0.05 or we can say 5%. So meaning to say that this represents the amount of acceptable errors or probability of rejecting a null hypothesis which is actually true, because it gives result to a kind of error which is known as type 1 error that we conduct when we reject our null hypothesis even when it is true. So once the alpha level has been selected, then the p-value is computed so as to compare. Now if p-value is larger than alpha, we've already discussed, then in that case we accept the null hypothesis and otherwise we reject it. In our example, the p-value has comes out to be 0.02, which is obviously smaller than 0.05. So here in this case we need to reject the null hypothesis. Why? Because obviously p-value has come out to be less than the value of alpha. That is being shown by the box itself here. Conclusion is test of significance provided evidence that the sample IQ is significantly larger than 100, which means that it showed the difference between sample mean and the population mean is statistically significant. This was one-sided alternative hypothesis. In case, what happens in case of two-sided alternative hypothesis, which is used when there is no reason to believe that the sample mean can only be higher or lower than given value. So researchers are only hypothesizing the value are significantly different. In this example, hypothesis was one-sided, alternative hypothesis was one-sided. So it is necessary to look at the probability that the sample mean was larger than 100, meaning to say we need to see the other side also. So when the alternative hypothesis is two-sided, the sample mean can be either higher or lower than the given value, and researcher must look for both extremely high and extremely low values for a complete procedure or the complete observation. This means that alpha is located at both ends of the curve so as to compare. Half of alpha is located at the higher end and half is located at the lower end. So this is both a low cutoff value and high cutoff value. There would be. Therefore, in two-sided cases, the p-value is obtained by multiplying the area to the right of z by 2. Only after doubling this value can the p-value be compared to alpha. Now see, this is being shown here. It's showing the condition when the alternative hypothesis is two-sided. The shaded area is the alpha. It's being shown on both the sides. So here, this is an example when the null hypothesis shows that sample IQ is 100, where the alternative hypothesis shows that sample IQ is not equal to 100. The value of z, as we know, is 2. Area to the right of z has come out to be 0.0228. So for considering both the sides, this needs to be multiplied to 2. So that comes out to be 0.056. Now here again the same thing will be happening, that we'll be accepting it if it is more than 0.05, which is not. So here the conclusion is, under the two-sided alternative hypothesis that is being shown here by the figure, conclusion says that the test of significance provided evidence that the sample IQ is still significantly different than 100. So we are clearly rejecting the null hypothesis and accepting our two-sided alternative hypothesis, that again confirms the result. The same has been explained here. The p-value, taking both the ends, comes out to be 0.0456, which is obviously smaller than the value of the alpha level. So null hypothesis would be rejected. Generally, how it is being done for Z statistic, how to obtain this, it is being given in table in some statistical textbook, or some statistical software is being used, or maybe a calculator can be used online or offline for the purpose. So as to summarize the whole procedure, further these steps are being listed here, that will state the null and alternative hypothesis, then we'll calculate the test statistic which is Z value, then we'll find the p value, maybe using by using the table or some statistical software. Then we'll compare this p value with the alpha and decide whether the null hypothesis should be rejected or accepted. Now the Z statistic is computed based on the properties of the normal distribution, so it should only be used when the distribution of the variable is approximately normal. So that is when this Z statistic is used. If this condition is not there, a different statistic must be used. These are few sources that I've referred to. Thank you for attending this lecture or the class or whatever you call it. Thank you for being here, and for my live classes in certain other different important topics, you can visit this website. This is an online portal or education portal where you can get register, avail free classes, demo classes, and even you will get the PDF notes out of them. So I wish you good luck.